Hello, principals, and welcome to the NAESP Principal Podcast. My name is Rachael George. I'm an educational leader in Oregon and an NAESP fellow.
And my name is Adam Welcome. And you can tell Rachel's laughing because this is like our fifth take on the intro, and we're going to nail it on this intro, principals. I'm an educator in California and also a fellow with NAESP and my friend Rachael in the Innovation Center.
Yeah, so this is like take 5, and we're really excited to bring you all this NAESP Principal Podcast. So friends, so we can talk about real ideas with amazing principals like you all and to help make your leadership stronger and more innovative.
And tonight we have a guest that is actually new to me, and I love meeting new people because I feel like I know a lot of leaders around the country. Andrew Marotta, high school principal in PA. For those of you that don't know what PA stands for, it's Pennsylvania. I think kind of when you're on the East Coast and you're from Pennsylvania, I've always known you say PA. He's the author of The School Leader, Surviving and Thriving, and a former NCAA basketball official. Andrew, also his own podcast as well too, which I'm sure we're going to get into. Andrew, welcome to our podcast.
Adam, it's an honor to be with you. Rachael, pumped up here. I know that the book just came out for you, She Leads, so it's exciting to be with both of you. Thanks for having me.
Man, we got books coming out all over the place. Hey, question number 1, I'm intrigued with your NCAA basketball official job. What did you learn? Like, what lessons did you learn as an official for NCAA that maybe has helped you in your current role as a school leader?
Adam, so much. You know, if you think about the two jobs, right? You're in the spotlight, you have to enforce the rules, you're on a big stage, you have to make quick decisions, and you get yelled at a lot, right? Because you're trying to do the right thing. So the jobs are unbelievably comparable. This is my third year I've stepped away. And mentioned in books, I actually just wrote my third book called Tales from the Hardwood, Surviving and Thriving, because that's what it's all about. And but so many things, the two jobs came together, standing tall, knowing how to enforce the rules when things were rough, and getting used to people not being happy with your decisions, but having the ability to go forward. And when you do make a mistake, you got to get the next one right. You know what I mean? So when those games happen, when they're happening in school, if you miss something, you got to get the next thing right. So a lot of things to compare with those two roles.
Well, funny that you mentioned like people being upset with you or yelling at you. I am sure that there's so many of our listeners that have had that happen over the last 2 years with the pandemic. So what advice would you give to them? Maybe your top 2 tips about how to survive, how to thrive. What are those?
So much, Rachael. Good question. So much is just listening. Right? We think we have to fix everything. And actually, people just want to be heard. People, just want to be listened to. And when a coach is yelling about a call, you go over, you listen to them. Hey, coach, tell me what you saw. It's like that parent yelling on the phone. A lot of comparisons there. And but having that intense, right? Parents are passionate about their kids. They call up screaming and yelling. Not very different than a coach who's passionate about their team. You get close. You try to listen, and you keep the conversation moving. You don't let them beat you up for that long of a time. Mom and dad, we're gonna keep it moving. So, but I would say listening is the best thing, and not overreacting. It's passionate. People are passionate about their kids, their communities, and when they're up there, you kind of just listen and let them come down. I like the air out of the balloon theory is one of my mindsets. You just let them go.
Yeah, with that, I think what Rachel's comment is timely about parents. In the last couple of years, there's been a lot happening, obviously. Everybody's probably a little bit heightened. But even before that, I want to dig deeper. If and when you had a parent yelling at you, because I know I've talked to leaders more so in the last 2 years that have had parents yelling at them. What are some strategies, Andrew? Because, to compartmentalize on the hardwood is one thing with a coach and you're an official. And then as a principal, as a public figure, I feel like your role is, a little bit different. How would you advise an aspiring leader, a new principal, or a veteran leader if someone's in person, because I've had this, on the phone, I've had this as a principal, yelling at me? What advice would you give people?
A couple of things, Adam. Number one, have people make an appointment, right? They get mad. They come running down into school. You tell your secretaries, hey, Mr. Welcome might be calling. I know he wasn't happy. Certainly take the call. An appointment, right? You can't just rush into the emergency room and go see the doctor. You got to go through the steps. Sometimes you have to get away from that. But when they're so high up, when they're so elevated, it's not going to go well, right? So always tell your secretary, don't say, well, Mrs. George is going to call back by 3 o'clock. No, she will get back to you, right? So number one, make an appointment. I'm also a fan of the walk and talk. You go into that principal's office, like you're in, they're a little anxious about being in there, right? I want to greet him at the door. Hey, Mr. Welcome, have you been to the school before? Let's take a walk. And I walk down the hallway with them. Right now, we're not facing each other at my desk, but we're walking together. And where's that energy going? The energy's going together, right? If you don't know the parent, maybe you ask a couple of questions. Hey, are you local? Did you go to school here? But if you know them, maybe you ask about their older sibling, right? You ask something about how is everybody else doing? Just that walking and talking. And the last thing, don't sit behind the desk. I know COVID, things are a little funny now, but move next to them. Move next to them. I got my notebook. I always got my notebook here. Take good notes. Repeat what they tell you, right? Oh, you think I'm terrible as a principal. Okay, tell me more why you think I'm terrible as a principal, right? You get the person talking, and then eventually you're going to get to what that point is. But I think some of those strategies of you kind of setting the time schedule and then greeting them, right? Greeting them, and I like to walk and talk. They're not going to misbehave or fly off the handle if you're walking down the hallway. They're just not going to do it. So there's some professionalism that you're forcing because of the situation you're in.
Yeah, I love that. I'm not a principal currently. I wish I could go back though and have a parent tell me they hated me and actually go, yeah, tell me why. I've never had that. Like, I want to see what people would say. Would they really have the gumption to say it though? It's kind of like people emailing or texting. They're going to say a lot more. A strategy that worked for me that I didn't even realize it, Andrew. I'm a lifelong San Francisco Giants and 49ers fan. And when I grew up going to Candlestick Park, it was a horrible stadium, like right by the water. It was always
mistake
cold.
By the lake.
Yeah, they tore the stadium down, but they sold the seats. I told my wife, I'm going to buy 2 seats. We used to go to about 20 Giants games a year. And I took those 2 seats and I put them in my office at school. And I can't tell you how many parents would come in upset and they would go, are those from Candlestick? And I was like, yeah, go ahead, sit down. And it just kind of changed the vibe. It made them it showed them that I was a human being, that I wasn't like this evil principal, like that was trying to make things happen. Like those kind of strategies are important. Thanks for going deeper. We know telling your story is something that's very near and dear to your heart, Andrew. Why might that be important right now, especially? And what are 2 easy things principals can start doing to support this work without being an overload?
Adam, great question. It's not the information, it's the inspiration, right? Let's say you're doing a phone call home, and are you just going to start with bam, bam, bam and listing information? Or you start with, sharing some celebrations, some positive things going on, and maybe a great story of something positive that happened at schools. Facts tell, stories sell. And we're not salespeople, but if you're not comfortable with your children's, educated with the principals, if the teachers aren't comfortable with you, it just creates a friction. It creates a lack of trust. A couple important things about storytelling, Adam, I think, is looking for stories, right? Principals want to be good speakers. They want to have good stuff at their faculty meetings. Everybody wants to have a joke, something. Number one, look for stories. Rachael wrote with Dave Burgess. Adam, I think you wrote with Dave Burgess too. Dave Burgess talks about opening your RAS. That's not a curse word, but your RAS, your reticular activating system. And when you're looking for stories, you will start to find them, right? And so that's one. And then 2, practice them, right? Practice telling stories. Practice your opening of your faculty meeting or your parent night. Watch TED Talks, things like that. And I know we're not on video, but I'm a fan of props, right? I always got props on whatever I'm talking about. You give a prop where, you take the attention off of yourself and you have the person. So this is my handheld old fashioned phone that I use when I talk to teachers about calling homes, right? And then I model for them on how to do it. So look for the stories. They're out there, books, resources, and then practice telling them and use some props. So just a couple things on storytelling.
I like it. So kind of looping back to that angry parent, I actually had one tell me that he didn't like me. So people do out there exist. Apparently what really bugged him the most was my posh, really big smile and my perky attitude. So friends, people can hate you for a variety of reasons, but just be you. And you listen, you smile, and he did come back a year later and apologize and said he liked my smile. So sometimes it's out of emotion. So, thinking of emotion and thinking of what interviews sometimes make you percolate with feelings and tingles. We're getting into interview season a little bit. And I hate to say that, but it's the end of January when we're recording this. This might come out in February, but 'tis the season, right? As soon as the new year starts, it's game on. I've also had a lot of people transition to new jobs in the middle of the year. So Andrew, what are your tips when you're thinking about, I'm going to have some spots that are going to be opening within my building. I might have some retirees. How do I attract and retain people, especially when we know the pipelines are a little empty right now? What do you think?
Yeah. Shortages. You're hearing not as many people are going into it. It's definitely something that we as education leaders are talking about. Rachel, I'm a fast guy. I know I'm with a marathon runner here, Adam, welcome, but I like to be out in front, right? I want to get those postings out early. I'm the guy constantly knocking on the superintendent's door. Hey, can we get this posted? Can we get it posted? Can we get it posted? And then we spoke about storytelling, right? And what is the story that your district is telling? And what is the story that you are telling? Are you putting short videos out about you and your school district? Are you on social media as an educator sharing the great stories of your district? Are you putting creative, awesome looking posts out there? Think about a billboard, right? You're driving down the highway. What does it look like? I'm a big proponent of what it looks like and get literally the posting out there. Is there a positive saying on the posting, right? Is it going to get the attention of the people? That's all the pre stuff. Then it's the interview itself, right? Adam, you're a former principal, Rachel, your principal. Like, I never called my candidates before. I never called them, right? I used to delegate that. If there was 10 candidates, you think about how much time it is to set that up. But someone advised me, Andrew, do it. You get that pre-meeting with them on the phone. And I can have a little conversation. Again, listening to those little interactions. Is the person sound like they're inconvenienced that I'm calling them, or just the tone in their voice, those kinds of things. I'm flexible with my schedule now, right? We set these things up. They're 30 minutes apart, right? Someone's like, I'm at a wedding that day. 5 years ago, Andrew Marotta saying, sorry, Rachel, too bad. Now I'm saying, well, what can we do here? Do you want to join remote? Can you come in the morning? Can you come at night? I'll meet you at night, bring some pizza, whatever it is. I'm more flexible there because I want to get the best candidate. And the last thing, Adam and Rachel, and I would say it's the biggest thing, I don't want to speak for all presidents. We used to put these people in there, such a tense thing, right? Are they tough enough to work there? We're going to make them sit in the waiting room. We're going to grill them with questions. They're going to walk in. There's going to be 10 people there, right? I'm not a shy person. I don't have anxiety, but that causes anxiety for people. Just like we talked about greeting that angry parent, bam, I have a student welcome committee, Adam, no pun intended. They go out and greet the person. I ask them what kind of car they're driving so those kids know who's coming. We have reserved parking for them. The kids go out and greet them. They bring them in. Would you like something to drink? Would you like some coffee? Put your stuff down. Do you need the restroom, right? They always need the restroom. And then the kids, take them on a 20-minute tour of the building. We give the kids some questions to ask. Hey, why do you want to come to our district? Do you know anything about our district? And kids are the best, right? We think we're good at interviewing. No. It's the kids. They're like dogs. They can sniff them out. And the kids, they do an interview. I've started bringing kids on the interview committee. It's not appropriate all the time, but I have kids on the committee as well. Afterwards, I have the kids who did the greeting meet with the interview committee, and most times their selections matched our selections. In that 15, 20 minutes that they walked around with them, and then us with all the big fancy schmancy questions about statistics and data and strategies. And it's about the connection with the person, right? Do they love kids? Do they want to be there? I give the person my cell number. I want the person dying to work for me in my district versus, hey, is this person good? I want them dying to work for us, because maybe we don't hire them, but maybe next year there's another opening, or maybe that teacher that we think was the number one pick stinks and they don't cut it. Right now, what am I doing? And I treated that person like they were the best person on earth. They're happy to hear from me, not who's this jerk from Port Jervis, New York, who's now calling me, you didn't hire me the first time, right? So little things like that make people feel special, make people feel wanted and welcome. Those are some things. I think the game has changed, right? Not can this person, are they good enough to work for us, versus we're going to want them dying to work for us. Because what do they do if they don't get the job, right? They're telling people, oh my God, Port Jervis, they were so welcoming. They was incredible. And Andrew Marotta gave me his cell phone after the thing. He talked to me for 30 minutes about why I wasn't his choice. All of those kinds of things, I think, again, tell your story of you and your school.
Yeah, 100%, Andrew. I mean, such good ideas. I worked with a district in Kansas, Ulysses, Kansas. They actually bought 2 little small homes a block from the school. It was a small area, so everyone's like right in the same building, for student teachers and new teachers to live in, either for free or like at a reduced rate for a couple of years, just to get their feet off the ground. Hey, the game has changed. Like, how are you going to attract companies do this? How are you going to attract people? So, hey, I thought you had 1 book, Andrew. You got 3 books. The links are not in the show notes, but go to Amazon, type in Andrew Marotta, Marotta. The man's got 3. Tell us about your most recent book, or talk about whatever book you want to talk about with the audience, Andrew.
Hey, Adam, I'm just trying to keep up with you, man. You got more books coming out. I mean, Rachael got a thing tomorrow. Yeah, I'm just trying to keep up with you guys. No, thank you, Adam. When I stepped away from officiating, right, one door closes, another open. I never considered myself a writer. I believe in the power of a single experience. Rachael and Adam and a good friend of mine, Dr. Rob Gilbert, kind of prompted me. One time, he's like, Andrew, you were incredible. You need to write a book. I presented in his class at Montclair State. And I never thought about it. I was like, Doc, I'm a referee. I got little kids. I'm a principal. I don't have the time. He said, you don't need the time. He said, just write down what you do as a principal. Just write the stuff down. People want to be good principals. Just write it down. Well, I got ADD. It's a superpower, not a disability. I did talk to text on the way home. I had 80 points. The next day at school, I always got my notepad with me. I always got it with me. I had, 40 more. And in less than 24 hours, I had, 100 plus of the tips in the first book. It was great. It was a lot of fun. It opened a lot of doors for me. And I decided I wanted to do more to try to help parents. There is not a lot of resources out there for parents on how to, be successful in this journey. Right. So I wrote The Partnership, Surviving and Thriving, which is also kind of in that theme of it ain't easy, right? It's a journey. It's not going to be perfect. So this is a guide to help parents. And then, as I mentioned earlier, that 3rd book is coming out this spring. I'm excited. Hopefully it'll be out by the Final Four, but Tales from the Hardwood, leadership lessons from my time on the court. Great stories, great mentors, huge stages, right? Adam, we make a mistake in school. Rachael, we do something wrong in school. A couple hundred people see it, right? They might go on social media, it'd be some chatter. You blow a call in a big game, 20,000 people, you learn to have big shoulders. You learn how to move forward after maybe a mistake. One of the things I learned, Adam, you asked about comparisons. I like the 5 SWs. I think it's a great strategy for all principals, for all leaders. Sometimes it will, sometimes it won't. So what? Someone's waiting, stick with it, right? They just help me. They just help me, during the day. They help me with my ideas, right? We think we got great ideas, and you go to school and you share it, and the faculty's throwing stuff at you. Hey, they didn't like it. It didn't go out. So what? Someone's waiting, stick with it. So those are some things, again, from the refereeing that helped me out. But I love the book writing, and I'm working on the next one. You asked about interviewing, Rachel. The Interview, Surviving and Thriving. That's the next one coming out.
There you go. I like it. So
Yeah.
Andrew, how can people get in contact with you if they want to look you up on social media?
Yeah, my website is andrewmarotta.com. I'm on Twitter at andrewmarotta21. Those would probably be the best ways to do it.
Fantastic. Well, hey folks, the game has changed if you haven't picked that up throughout this episode, and Andrew brings some phenomenal tips. So thanks again for joining this episode of the NAESP Principal Podcast. Learn more about NAESP at naesp.org, and we'll see you next time.